Hey everybody. Um, it was a good day today. The personal note on the check-in. We had the church picnic today. Uh, Obviously, it was my first one because I've only been going for a couple months to this church. It was fantastic. Couldn't ask for a better day. It wasn't too hot. Where we were was nice and shady. There was a good breeze. Good food, good company, good weather. It was a good day. Um, there was even one person that commented it seemed like that was like one of the best ones they'd ever had. And, I don't have anything for comparison, but I'll take their word for it. I know I really enjoyed it. It was a good crowd. Everybody was, mingling, having a good time. And of course, where we had the picnic at is somewhere I spent a lot of my childhood. So I got to roam around, feel a little nostalgic. I got to be involved in the church. And one of my absolute favorite practices is breaking bread together. Not just in communion. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's holy and sacred and should be taken differently. But again, just being a community and breaking bread together. Remember that sense of community that we're supposed to have. It's my favorite aspect of all of it. Um, and again, it's the contrast of how I was living my life a few months ago to now. Just the caliber of people I'm spending time with. Um, it's a lot better, and it pushes me to be better, and that's what I wanted. Before I was fighting to get a leg up, and not only was I fighting myself, but the people around me kind of wanted me to stay down too. You know, um, I had to change that, so I did. One of the best decisions I ever made for myself in my life, honestly. Um, Even though that choice came with some loss, it was a price I'm comfortable with having paid. Did it hurt a little bit? Yeah, but end result still worth every bit of it. I just feel so much better. And again, in this crowd, I I feel more like an asset than a burden around these people. You know, and I feel appreciated. And the way my life was a few months ago, that's like a drastic change, like drastic. Like I am still adjusting and getting used to some of this because it's been so long. Um, when I speak around them, the majority tend to listen. Well, at least when I clear my throat and speak loud, because I was a little quiet at a few points today. But um, yeah, when I actually project my voice, which I'm built for, um, yeah, it's when I talk to people there, it's an interaction, not a transaction, not one sided where they ignore the other side. No, it's a genuine interaction. And again, it's sad that I have to reacclimate myself to that kind of treatment. It really tells me a lot about the experience that I've been through and how I've been treated the last few years. And again, why I have no regrets in making the choices that I did. I needed it. And it's funny as I think just how much things have improved in that short amount of time. You know, I mean, not all my problems are solved or anything like that, but just that feeling inside of just being better off, you know, and I'm taking better care of myself, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I'm finally doing maintenance on me instead of pouring myself out on others and ignoring myself. I finally realized that dynamic was skewed because they would take all I had to give, but not give anything back in return. There was no reciprocation. And then I was empty when it came time for myself. When I needed somebody, When they needed somebody, they could come to me anytime. When I needed somebody, it was screw you, you're on your own. So I quit doing it for those people. Trust me, there was a list. And I said, nope, 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 you're cool. If you get that reference, we can be friends. But yeah, definitely be around the right people. The ones that you don't want people that feed your ego. You want people that feed your spirit. The ones that give you that motivation, that drive, that desire to want to be better, to do good things for yourself. The ones that'll, smack you upside the head and say, hey, listen, you're getting off track here. Genuine friends that will, pull you aside and have that conversation. It'll make a world of difference. And just the fact of feeling useful. And it's really sad that I kind of put it that way. But it's true. I've been made to feel so useless the last several years. And I know that's not the truth. That's just what it all looked like. So, but it's nice to have confirmation of otherwise, Now I'm seeing the real evidence, not the false evidence. And I'm very thankful and grateful that I've been able to find and be welcomed into this community, this church. I love it. I really do. I want to keep continuing, the way I am. It is definitely what's best for me. But yeah, be careful of the company you keep. If you notice that all your friends around you are a certain way, that means that you will end up that way as well. You are what your 5 closest friends are. So if you're around people that are not good people, that don't make good choices in life, that's going to rub off on you. You need to break free of that and go to people that are going to, inspire you to do better. I don't want to live my life the way most people in the world want to. I don't need to be promiscuous. I don't need to be money hungry. I don't need to, literally like crave my own demise over a few bucks. No thanks. Y'all can keep that. It's like I was saying the other day about principles. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I tell people all the time, the reason the world is the way it is because we choose to accept things instead of saying, no, this don't fly with me. I refuse to be part of that. I really have no problems detaching from society. I don't. I know society is what helps me survive. Um, but the way society has become, the trade-off just isn't worth it anymore. Not the way they force you to do it. But it is what it is. I was spoiled today. Ate good. Ate good at the picnic. Ate good at dinner. We had some steak, roasted potatoes, peas and succotash. Good stuff. And again, that falls under the being better, eating a little healthier, being more mindful. A lot of people aren't very mindful of what they're putting in their bodies, and that's in several areas, both thoughts, food, ideas. And again, you become what you surround yourself with. So you got to be real careful about what you're surrounding yourself with. You know, if you're around people that make poor choices, and those are the people you listen to for advice, yeah, we see where that's going, right? If you want to listen and conform to the world instead of being your authentic self, you see the end results of that as well. I might not have a lot to show for it, but being my authentic self, I'm a lot happier for it. And that's what I try to get through to people. Do not let the world shrink you and fit you into a box. Set that box on fire. Stomp it. Get rid of it. No boxes. We don't do that. I will never shrink again. For anybody. For any reason. I learned my lesson on that. Sorry, there was a lot of traffic through here. Usually don't record this time of day, but I felt the urge, I just wanted to share the experience because it's been on my mind. Like, it was a highlight, definitely. Today was everything I had hoped it would be. Even better. Had a good time. I got to, talk to more people. I got to network a little more. Share some laughs. Had some good time. They had me run the trivia because I brought the books. Although next time I would prepare for that a little better than I did today. But again, it's all, learning curve. And that's the point. Yeah, matter of fact, there was a discussion, and somebody was talking along the lines of being afraid to be wrong. And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with being wrong. That's how we learn. And I mean, that's truth. A lot of things can only be learned by making the mistake. I'm not saying everything, but there's quite a few things that do fall in that category. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Be afraid to stay where those mistakes lead you. Be afraid of staying the same. Be afraid of not evolving, of not changing. But don't be afraid of making mistakes. Don't be afraid of being wrong. As long as you're willing to correct it, there's nothing wrong with being wrong. It's the human experience. And that's what we're supposed to be going through. That's what we're supposed to be experiencing. But we're not. Because we've let, the powers in control of this world just teach us to go against our own nature. And again, that's why everybody is so miserable, because we are going against our own nature to conform to a society that no longer serves us. And that's it in a nutshell. We can fix it, but we got to do the work. And the work starts in ourselves individually. And only then can we come together and make real change in the world around us. I cannot stress it enough. I really wish more people had an interest in healing and growth in exploring and examining themselves. You know, I understand it's not the easiest thing to do. I've been doing it for the last few years. Trust me, there's hard moments. There's things that I've had to face that I haven't been very comfortable with. But when I got through it, my life was so much better because of it. So don't be afraid to get to know yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself. You know? And that doesn't mean go out and, cause havoc. Don't hurt anybody, but as long as the things you're good at and the things you love doing don't hurt anybody, do it with pride. Don't let anybody make you feel embarrassed or feel less than because of the things that you like. I don't care if you're 40 years old and you still like playing video games. That's your outlet. That's your outlet. Don't let somebody tell you that you can't do that. You could be late in life and never learn to cook, and all of a sudden you want to learn to cook. You think you're too old? Anybody who says otherwise, ignore them. Do what makes you happy, as long as it does not bring harm to others. Now, if you're bringing harm, and I don't just mean like physical hurt, but I mean if you are harming others, especially intentionally, then that's no good. But it really is that simple. I mean, people will look at me and be like, well, that's easier said than done. No, it's actually, ironically, it's easier done than said. Because think about our history. Everybody who's said these words, who has spread this message of, hey, let's get along, let's have peace, what's happened to them? People like Jesus, JFK, Dr. Martin Luther King. See a pattern? The world doesn't want us to be at peace. You'll get taken out for asking for peace before you get taken out asking for war. Think about that. Let that sink in. That is the world that we currently live in. We can fix it, but we got to do the work. Anywho, that's time for today. Like I said, I wanted to give the update and, again, drive home some points, because I really hope that more people at least consider and start looking into, be curious. Even if you don't follow, what I'm giving, word for word, be curious about yourself. Take it further. Do not let the world tell you who you are. You tell the world who you are. Same thing with, do not let the world tell you your worth or your value. You set your worth and your value. You know what you are worth. You know what you will tolerate. And if people don't treat you the way you think is right, walk away. That simple. People don't appreciate you, find people who do. That's what I did. And look at the glow up, the difference. I'm a lot happier for it. I can't stress it enough. I can't. So it is definitely, again, I never said it would be easy, but it is definitely to your benefit to put in the work, take the steps, and to be your real self. Figure out who that is and find the courage to be that person, despite what the world tells you. Anyway, think it over. In the meantime, keep taking care of yourself. Try and help take care of each other. I'll catch you in the next one.